Good evening, everyone, and happy Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday. For those that are new to the stream, welcome, and I thank you, be it from my page, Genesis Fitness, or Swagger Magazine. I am so excited that you're taking a few minutes out your Sunday afternoon to join me, as well as my fitness divas. I look forward to seeing and connecting with you all every week, be it on a different topic. And this week will not be any different. For those, if this is your first time hanging out with me, my name is Beverly Johnson. I'm located here in the booming metro of Huntsville, Alabama, which is in the northern part of the state, which means we get seasons, which means it snowed the other night. And I did not appreciate that. Hey, Latoya, I did not appreciate the snow. I am not built for snow. I lived in Germany while I served in the military, and I have had my whole abundance of snow, more than I ever want to experience in my life. So, without further ado, hey, Michael, we are going to talk about what exactly, hey, Mama, what exactly is meal prepping? A lot of times you'll hear people, hey, Carter, we'll hear people say meal prepping as well as meal planning. And a lot of people wonder, well, what's the difference between the two? And can the two coexist? And what I will say is when you're talking about meal planning, hello and good night. Hi, London. Hey, Ahmad. What I will say when you're talking about meal planning, if you have little people in your house, I know you have heard the phrase, what's for dinner? Ma, I'm hungry. Dad, I'm hungry. Auntie, I'm hungry. Meal planning is the thing that you go through and sit down and figure out what exactly are you going to eat that day. If you were little and you saw your mom in the kitchen or your grandmother in the kitchen and they had the grocery list and they would have you do the rundown and go, how many cans of corn do we have in there? And you go, I have 2 cans of corn, Grandma. And she'll go put corn, 3 cans. How many green beans? We have 1 can. And she'll have her grocery list, green beans, 4 cans. That's what meal planning is. That's when you sit down and figure out kind of before you go to the grocery store, what you need to get. A lot of times when you think about meal planning, you think about going to the grocery store and one day your mom would have meatloaf. Hey, Bernard. Hey, big brother. One day you have meatloaf. The next day you have spaghetti and meatballs. The next day you would have hamburger steak. The next day after that, you would have cheeseburger and fries. And probably by Friday, you would have leftovers. So in that sequence was what meal planning looked like, because you sat and you thought about, or you watched, your loved ones and the elders kind of sit down and they had a grocery list, usually on the back of an envelope, and they would sketch out what they need to go and get from the grocery store. And that grocery list influenced what you had that week. So that's what the meal planning part is sitting down and figuring out, what do you need to get from the grocery store? Do you have the ingredients that you need? And can you execute? In the grand scheme of meal planning and meal prepping, that's what you're doing. You're sitting down, figuring out, do you have the tools, the resources that you need to execute your meals for the week? In a nutshell, that is what meal planning is. That is something that we have done forever. That is something that a lot of families, we have seen instilled in our own communities and our own families. The thing about it now is that life pre-COVID, we would all be busy in activities. Our schedules would be hectic. So in some aspects, we kind of got away from it because you could pick something up on the way home. You could order it and have it dashed or have Uber Eats drop it off to your house. So in the trade-off for planning came convenience. And a lot of times with the convenience comes a cost. So in some spaces that, yes, it may have been easier to pick up the food or have it door dashed or Uber or sent via Uber Eats, we also lost the aspect of sitting down and planning. And it happens to all of us. So I'm saying that part of your planning could include, okay, so this week I know they have the little rotisserie chicken on sale at the grocery store. Today we'll have the rotisserie chicken. The next day we'll have sandwiches. From that, we'll make soup. So it's also figuring out how to incorporate your planning into your current lifestyle. So again, there's not a right way and there's not a wrong way in how to incorporate this into your lifestyle. It comes down to making it work for your family, and your budget. So as always, I'm going to give you the most economical way because I don't believe in going broke. I don't believe in giving you options that aren't realistic. So number one, with meal planning, sit down and figure out what you need to have for the week. Even if you work from home, it is to your benefit to figure out what do you need for the week. That eliminates you spending excess money, that keeps you on schedule, and that kind of limits you running in and out all day. Because if you have DoorDash, Uber Eats come to your house, that's an average of $20 a pop. That includes the fee when it comes to your house. So you look at it, if you're having food delivered to your house 3 times a week, that's $60 a week. That's part of your grocery bill. So it's learning how to ebb and flow. So I'm not saying to use DoorDash because DoorDash knows this address very well. So I'm not telling you to DoorDash. I'm saying how to make the systems and processes work for you and your family. Now, what exactly is meal prepping? Meal prepping is the implementation of the process. Meal prepping is actually sitting down and preparing and figuring out what meals am I going to have. You have bought the groceries or you've had them delivered to the house. Now you have all your stuff out. And now you have to figure out, what do I do with this right now? Because ideally, when you decide to meal prep, it should come down to that what the groceries that you have purchased meets what you're trying to do. So with meal prepping and meal prepping, there's not a one size fit all method with that. You do what works for you. A lot of times the most popular version, and I left my container over there and I cannot go get it. The hardest part for me is I feel like cooking. That's the part that good evening to you. Yeah, that's the part that gets me, the cooking part, because of my schedule in part. So for me, individually portioned meals, that's when you get the little containers and you see everybody and they have them stacked high and they got meals prepped out for the week. That may not work for you. That may not work for a lot of people. What works for me are the make ahead meals. So on the side where hopefully it won't beep, I have an Instapot, crock pot. I have a air fryer. So things I prepare on Sundays, and I'll go ahead and freeze it and I'll have it ready for mealtime. So on Sundays, it's not uncommon to have a soup or a stew or something being prepared. And I know that that'll give me so many days. Then I'll prepare something else tomorrow, and then I'll have that for the rest of the week. So I don't do 7 days worth of prep using one meal. I have an Instapot Latoya, and it has been a game changer because I looked up and found that 8-in-1 where it can do the stews, the soups, the desserts, rice. It can do everything. So the meal prep method that works for me is the make ahead meals, because you can have meals fully cooked in advance and you refrigerate, and you can still use the little things, use your containers. But it comes down for me, the weekends is when I have the most time. So I prepare my batches then, which goes to number 2, batch cooking. So if you decide to go to the grocery store and you get the big tray of chicken or whatever you choose to get, you can prepare all your chicken breasts or your chicken thighs or whatever you want to. Prepare them, season it, freeze it, and then over the course of the months, you have your soups, you have your stews, you have your proteins. It's already frozen and prepared. So as the week goes on, you just grab something out the freezer and you keep going. So I have found in my own journey, make ahead meals and batch cooking is what works for me. So now you know what I'm in here doing on the weekends. I do all my batch cooking. I do all the make ahead meals. My Instapot and my air fryer probably low key hate me because they run parallel. Sometimes I have something in the Instapot and I have something in the air fryer. As soon as that's done, on to the next one because it works for me and my schedule. Because if I don't have something ready, it's DoorDash. It's DoorDash. So if you're wondering what to get me for my birthday in like 45 days, DoorDash. Mm-hmm. Or DoorDash. I threw it out there. Like, we don't want to get the woman that has everything. She wants DoorDash credits. Just wait. But am I really? So 2 methods: make ahead meals, batch cooking. Hint. The Lucy click got me. Okay. So make ahead meals, batch cooking, individually prepared meal, portion meals is when you have the person in the kitchen and they have all the containers. They have breakfast, 7 days worth of breakfast. They have 7 days worth of lunch. They have 7 days worth of dinner. And you're looking at all those containers and you're thinking there is no way on this side of earth that I'm going to eat the same meal 3 times a day for 7 days. And you're absolutely right. That's the sticking point that I have with the things that show meals being prepared for 7 days. I can give you a good 3. Then after that, let's see the way my attention span is set up, I have to move on and do something else. So I normally batch out for 3 days. So Sunday to Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday, I do something else. And then Friday normally is my standing cheat day when I go to the Waffle House. Not waffle, waffle. WAFFA. It has to be a southern thing. I don't know. It's something about that little woman that go, baby, you get the same order every day. And I do. So I go to the Waffle House on Fridays. Something to do. And the last method is the ready to cook ingredients, which means you have sat and you have all your ingredients, just like the shows on the Food Network, where they have all the containers in the kitchen and they have everything set aside. And they just prepare that day, which is fine. If your schedule allows you where you can already the night before have all your proteins, the chickens or the turkey or the beef, you already have it seasoned, you already have it prepped, you already have the veggies and the seasonings already containered off. So the day of, you just go in there, grab what you need to cook. That's also an option. More than anything, whichever option you pick, don't stress. Don't feel obligated to say, the people on TV has all these containers stacked up. I got to stack it too. Or my best friend's cousin down the street, mama's cousin, she cooks every night and she has all the food, the meat seasoned. She has everything in from scratch and she makes all her noodles, her zoodles, zucchini noodles made from scratch, and she can do all that. If your schedule can't allow you to do that, that's fine. Find what works for you. And that's the biggest thing over the years that I've seen people struggle with, is finding their own path and finding their own voice. I would encourage you on your journey because I was intentional for January, which seems like January has been here forever, in setting a blueprint of things you can do. Next month, we're going into something else. But this month, to give you tangible, realistic ideas that you can use that don't break the bank. Over the years, the biggest thing I've seen people do is they compare themselves to other people. I've seen people go, well, Jeremiah was military, he's on this, so I should be able to do what Jeremiah does. Or Latoya does this, and this, so I should be able to do what Latoya does. But Latoya and Jeremiah have two totally different schedules. They'd have two totally different demands in their household. So you have to be able to look at your goals and your daily routine to figure out what works. So long, Lucy. January. Oh, September will be here tomorrow night. Walmart's going to have the Christmas decorations up again by Friday because it's been January for about 11 days. And so Lucy's right. Come Friday, Christmas decorations, Thanksgiving, and Halloween will be back up in Walmart with bikinis and back to school supplies because January seems to be on turtle time. And that means the rest of the year will fly like that. So on this thing, it'll come down to figuring out what's a good number for you to prepare, what's a reasonable place that you can start. If you've never really sat and did the meal planning before, start there. If you've never really sat down and said, okay, can I really start the meal prep? Start there, but figure out where you really want to be. Because I will say in my own space, it really hasn't been to the last few years that I'll self-admit that I'm not really a foodie, but because of the pandemic and being at home more, I really sat down and I started exploring more and I started cooking more. So I have seasonings that I can hold my own with seasonings. Do I know what to do with them all the time? I don't, but I got seasonings. That's half the battle. So I can razzmatazz it. I just don't know what I'm razzmatazzing sometimes. So it comes down to part of in my own journey. I really learned to appreciate the process of meal planning. So every Thursday I sit down and I have my little piece of paper and I figure out what it is that I need to buy. What do I need to sit down and make next week? What's my schedule going to look like? And then the weekends, the Instapot and the air fryer are running neck and neck. But that's a process that I had to grow to. Because normally with my schedule, if I'm not at home, I still will have it planned out to figure out breakfast, lunch, and dinner is going to look like this. But now that I've been inside for the past 2 years, I had to pivot and change my way of thinking. So meal planning, if you haven't done it before, don't overthink it. Don't overtax it. It comes down to you walking in the kitchen and figuring out, okay, before I go to the grocery store and buy all these groceries, then go to Chick-fil-A. I'm not saying I did or did not do that. I'm just saying it as for instance, that you bought all these groceries. And then after you unload all those groceries, you go out to eat. We all do it. No shame intended. But when you start planning your schedule, you get an idea of what the week is going to look like. And so that is something inherently that, I think we passed down from generation to generation to generation, because I remember watching my mom do it. I remember watching my grandma do it. I remember watching the elders in the family sit down and go, okay, well, such and such has a sale on chicken. We'll go get chicken. Such and such has seafood on sale. We're going to go get seafood. And then that is really how you control your budget. And that's really how you break up your boredom. Because one thing I have seen over the last few years is that when you're doing that thing where you're laying out all the containers, it's easy to get bored with this. It really is. I'm telling you, not just from what I read, I'm telling you from what I've lived, that it can get boring. And so it will require you, because nobody wants to eat chicken, a potato, and green beans every single day for 7 days a week. At least I don't. And that's part of things that I've heard people say when they do try to do the meal prepping is that they feel limited on your options. So make sure that when you're planning out what you're trying to do, you don't feel stuck in one bubble and forced to eat the same thing every week. Where, yeah, it was cool to have the chicken breast, the potato, and the asparagus last week. But do you really want to eat that again next week? And the week after that, and the week after that? So it's going to require you to kind of get into your creativity bag and figure out what works for you. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I try to have recipes every week and explore different categories. And those are things that I've actually tried, that I actually prepare. The people in Publix are like, "What are you making today?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying my best. So it does require you to kind of tap into your creative side because we're all creative. So 4 ways to meal prep: make ahead meals, which means you cook your meals in advance and then you just reheat them at different times. So again, remember when we were little, we'd have spaghetti, meatloaf, hamburger steak, and then that Thursday we have hamburgers and fries, and then Friday we just had leftovers. See the other day. You were always in rotation. Batch cooking. You make a big meal of something and you freeze it, and at different times of the week or the month you go back and get it. Individual portions. You see the containers that people have, and they have them stacked up, and they would take breakfast, lunch, and dinner in their little containers. And you're ready to cook ingredients where you have everything already laid out and you have everything already prepared, and you pick the one that works for you. Remember, there's not a right or wrong way to do this. It'll come down to your goals, your schedule, and your budget. So if you're not in a space where you can afford 200, 300, $100 worth of groceries, find a method in this thing that works for you. Don't pressure yourself to be in a space that you can't sustain, because consistency is going to be your key to success, regardless of what you do. Is going to be, can you maintain it? Because I haven't said my word of the day, but it also comes down to being intentional. Intentionality and consistency will get you further than anything else, above any gadget, above any gizmo, above any other fads that are going on. Consistency and being intentional will take you further than any fad will. So that's really all I have. Thank you for hanging in for the longest January that we've had. Next month starts. We have a whole new series. We're starting the first Monday. It's not first Monday. First Sunday of the month will be entrepreneur and friend, Mr. Bill Rice. And Mr. Rice is a serial entrepreneur. He has several businesses. He's a licensed esthetician, but we're more excited to talk about his newest endeavor, the Alabama Barber School, where you can get your skills and your whatever your credits, and you get your path to entrepreneurship right out the door in less than a year. So if you are interested in barbering, esthetician, not Dr. Rice, that's a coworker. Bill Rice is the person for you. As always, thank you so much for joining me. My crock pot, my Instapot is getting ready to beep, and I don't want y'all to hear it. So I'm getting ready to go. You all have a wonderful week, and I will see y'all next week.